for another dynamic journey as we wake up the world to a new era of opportunities and empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, President Larry Ivory.
Good morning, Chicago. That's right. You are listening to the Wake Up Show Chicago, powered by the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, and of course, sponsored by Wind Creek, Chicago Southland, out in East Hazelcrest. We want to thank you all for joining us today. It was it was Black Friday yesterday, and of course, I'm LaDonna Ray with WVON Monday through Thursday, but also with the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm a proud member. And of course, I am co host to the Presidente, Dr. Larry Ivory. We're here each and every Saturday. Larry, good morning. Did you participate in Black Friday?
And LaDonna, we did participate, but I didn't do any shopping myself. But you know, every year, this is our 15th year where we do kind of our Christmas event where we take care of about 300 families, and my team was out shopping. I didn't do any shopping. I
Yeah.
simply helped raise the money, but we are in full swing of going out buying toys and finding deals and really trying to spread the Christmas cheer, in Peoria, quite frankly.
Well, I love the sound of that. So you did participate in Black Friday because what we have done is we've taken Black Friday and made it taken it to a whole nother level. It's not just about going out and getting those fake deals that people put out there, but it's about going out and celebrating and recirculating the black dollar. And it sounds like that's what you were doing. Well, guess who I brought along with me today? Your friend, your boy, your
Yeah,
friend.
yeah. I see Lorenzo, Lorenzo
What's
back
going
in the
on, Dr.
studio,
Larry
man.
Ivory?
Man, I've
Yes.
been trying to catch you on Chicago Fire. I told him that you got to call me when he's on the air so I can check him out.
Yeah. I
Oh yeah.
Look, this man, okay, so those of you that are listening, Lorenzo T. Hughes is an actor and writer, but recently you were on Chicago Fire as District Deputy Chief
Yes.
Markinson.
Marcusson.
Like the guy that when they get in trouble, Larry, they
Uh-huh.
call him in. You don't want to see him on the show because they are in trouble when he shows up.
Handle your business, man. Handle your business.
Hey, you know it. You know it. I'm trying.
All right. So each and every Saturday morning, guys, we're here from 9 a.m. and we're live on WVON 1690 and we're streaming everywhere on iHeartRadio and on Facebook Live. If you guys can see us on Facebook Live, make sure you share the show. That is so important. Share this broadcast so that people can see it on demand over and over again because we want you to pick up what we're putting down. So all the time, we're always talking about Black businesses, how to strengthen them, the sheltered market, how to access contracts, capital, and consumers that support your business. And we seem to have a lot of should I say divide in that on a regular basis. But because of what the chamber does, Larry, that kind of bridges that gap. But before we dive in, I want to make sure that we don't let we let you guys know that you can give us a call 773-591-1690. Those phone lines are open, guys. Make sure you call in because we want to know how did you support a black owned business yesterday and how you will do it, not just yesterday, because I heard, didn't you see these cash mobs going out there, Larry? People are going out in droves to black businesses, not to smash and grab, not to ask for a discount, but to actually spend money at a black owned business.
Absolutely. That's so important, Donna. That's really uh, critical to the chamber in terms of supporting black businesses and making sure that black businesses are successful. And when we get a choice to go out and buy a good, services or a product, we ought to take a serious look at identifying black businesses that we can do business with. And I think, we have to put things in perspective in terms of the fact that if we take a look at, historical data that points to the fact that, we have had um, some phenomenal opportunities. Well, let's just say phenomenal um, cities and towns that were built by African Americans, where we were kind of forced to do business together. And now that we have a degree of
Integrated.
latitude, we don't do as much.
Right. Now that segregation is over.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's a downside to everything, and I guess upside too at some point. But it's always what was interesting, guys, is that I'm a little bit of a history buff, and I enjoy the American Revolution, the Civil War, and all those things. And when everything gets down to when we get down to the real discussion, it's always been about money. Uh, Slavery was about money, simple as that.
Hmm.
Um, about creating wealth, and they could create wealth by having slaves that could work for free, and accumulate wealth, and
Hmm.
that wealth could be passed on from generation to generation. And we didn't have the same opportunities that others had. Even though we died and fought for a country, we didn't have the access to capital and things like that. So we're still playing catch up to some
But
degree.
you say opportunities, Larry. I would say head start because it
Yeah.
was it was not an equal opportunity. I think about when I owned a grocery store and the state of Illinois sent us employee workers for free. They paid their wages. That made such a big difference in our expense category for salaries that we had a surplus and we were able to get a head start and put that money elsewhere. And that's almost like someone else paying for those workers, which you always need multiple people because there's a lot of solopreneurs. You remember we coined it SOULO
Hmm.
preneurs. And there's a lot of because of those solopreneurs out there, they're doing everything in their business, but they're not able to work on their business because those companies and those corporations had a head start with free labor. They were able to get way ahead of us because of us, and we weren't able to benefit from that.
Yeah, but that was a fact, Ladonna, and I think, like you said, is that when we take a look at those factors and we take a look at where we're at today, that's why we focus on procurement as a business organization, focus on strengthening black business. It's our opportunity to perhaps, from my perspective, to strengthen black businesses, and that's what we focus on. And we're pretty proud of the fact that we consider ourselves vanguards for black business, whether that be state, federal, or corporations, the whole gambit. We're out there fighting to make sure that at a state level that they're following the procurement rules and regulations. We're doing that at the federal level. We're also doing that at the corporate level. We're building relations with corporations and making sure our people get an opportunity to do business. Because obviously we are spending money with corporations. We ought to help participate, and we have a lot of great partners that we work with as an organization, like Wind Creek, ComEd, Ameren, AT&T, a whole lot of different companies that we work with to make sure our businesses get an opportunity to put their best foot forward. But no matter what we do, I think it's important to understand, like you said a little while ago, LaDonna, is that we're really starting behind, and they have a significant advantage and have had a significant advantage to grow their businesses, to impact their lives in a positive way, and we're catching up, but we still got a lot of work to do in terms of just finding what I consider to be the wealth gap that exists within the African American community.
I want to make mention of one thing, and then I think
Yeah.
Lorenzo has something to
Yeah.
add. I had a conversation with a young man. It was a very short one. I thought about how we are in modern day slavery because we often talk about what we've been through, why we are where we are, but the solutions are very far few and in between. However, if you look at the money that you make, if you go and you work, I had a conversation with my dad. I probably ruined his Thanksgiving. My father worked. I ruined it because he said, "Yeah, happy Thanksgiving." And I said, "Wow, you used to tell me it's just another day." That's because my father used to work on Thanksgiving and every other holiday. And because he was with the union, the steel workers, they would tell them, they would dangle in their faces double time and a half if you work on those holidays. So they became slaves to the double time and a half. And I told
Hmm.
my dad, "I don't hate you, I hate the steel mill because they gave you that out, or they gave you that carrot and you took it and you stacked all that money, or you took all of that money and you consumed it by being a consumer." And I look at the Black community and how we work so much. We are hard workers. Don't let anybody tell you that we're lazy. But we take all of the money that we make and we give it right back to massa, the corporations, everyone else except us. It doesn't circulate in our communities. And that makes us a modern day slave because it's almost like working for free. You're working for them and
Yeah.
you're not building wealth.
Well, if you go back and look at history, there was a place where you call sharecropping.
Mm.
Even after we had the emancipation, uh, and you had where people could go out. The problem was that we didn't own the farms and everything else, and we had to go back to working where we had a job, and that put us in a position where we were sharecropping. And those who understood sharecropping meant that no matter how hard you work, you were never going to get ahead. You were just never going to get ahead. And we did that for a long period of time. And I think that's why I love history, because it gives you some real sense of what happened in the past. Not that we should dwell on the past, but we need to understand the past, to understand the thinking, and understand the evolution of thinking and what we need to do in order to, perhaps, not perhaps, but how do we need to make sure that we participate in the great American dream? And that's why we focus on business, to make sure that we continue to push for positive legislation, take a look at policies that sometimes can be ambiguous. And when it's ambiguous, it lends itself to one's interpretation. And if one person is interpreted one way and another person is interpreted a different way,
Mhm.
then it's a matter of who has the who will is going to be enforced. And I think we always get the short end of the stick. But that's why we have to make sure that we get more involved in policy, politics, and working with the Black Caucus, Hispanic Caucus, and every caucus, quite frankly, to make sure that the policies that are written that's fair and equitable for us at the same time.
All right,
Absolutely.
Lorenzo.
I was just listening, Larry, to what you and Ladonna were just talking about, and one of the things I think that bothers me is that we are the only culture of people that do not function in the best interest of itself, and we're struggling with getting away from that. And like I said, you brought up history and how important history is. History is very important into breaking that cycle, because once you understand history and and you studied it, you've researched it, you've ingested it. Now it's time to start finding out what it is you did right or did wrong historically, and what it is you need to do moving forward to change your circumstances. And I guess I'm challenged, probably along with a bunch of other people. I'm challenged with, are we spending too much time focusing on what happened historically, that it's getting in the way of what we're doing in the present tense? What are we doing now moving forward to change those circumstances?
Well, I think you make a good point, Lorenzo, that we can, we have to be able to, I think, understand our past, appreciate our past, but we also got to have a game plan and a strategy. And if the game plan and strategy is having more economic parity And why is that important? Quite frankly, money gives you choices. No money, no choices. Then we need to focus on the things that we can do right now. Because I'll give you an example, guys, that I've been dealing with. It's like you can have a conversation. We just had a meeting with Do It, and we were having this conversation because Do It is a part of the state government that spends money in IT. And we had our IT team on the call, and we had a conversation. It was a healthy conversation, but we sat down to talk about what we need to do to improve African American participation with Do It, um, the Department of Innovation and Technology. And one of the things that came out of the conversation that I thought it's important to help people understand is that you know, there's a lot of times wording, if you're going to move forward, you got to understand the rules of the game. And sometimes people say things that they've heard other people say, and sometimes we don't know what the rules are. And therefore, when people say things, we're not able to combat or we're not able to challenge what they say. And I'll give you a quick example of that. When we say to people, that you have they say, well, look, in order for us to do a sheltered market, we got to do a disparity study. Now, for those who may not understand disparity studies is something that they do um, in the state of Illinois and other states to show to justify a program. So it's an in-depth analysis to take a look at availability and participation, and it makes your program. And really, only thing a disparity study is designed to do is make your program defensible in the event that you get challenged by the courts. That's what a disparity study does. But when people say, "Well, we can't do the sheltered market until we have a disparity study," that's a misnomer because it does not require that you have a disparity study in order to do the sheltered market. And we haven't did a sheltered market since 2018. But the point I'm making is that we really got to become very familiar with the language. Like if we're going to understand math, if we're going to do math, we got to understand math, how to do it, and how to make sure we add, subtract, or whatever we need to do. I think we need to understand the rules, and I think it's so important for us to understand the language of procurement and make sure that what they're saying is correct as it relates to the procurement rules and regulations. And I just point out the fact that you don't have to do, because the Disparity Study is going to take you 2.5 years to 2 years at a minimum to do a disparity study, to put out the RFP, select someone, and then go through all the data that you have to do and then come back and give a report. That's a 2 year process. So when you tell me you got to do a disparity study, it means I had to wait 2 more years.
That's
That's a
crazy. That's crazy because the shelter market is created based on disparity. So you're saying that we have to wait, and because we have to wait, we don't initiate it. Is that what's going on?
Well, that's what the conversation was, and I think we
Mhm.
challenged that whole that whole notion that doing a disparity study. Well, the shelter market doesn't say that you got to do a disparity study in order to do a sheltered market, and we know that for a fact because the second sheltered market that we did in marketing and advertising was just simply based upon the data that we had at our fingertips. And based upon the data, we could clearly see that African Americans and Hispanics were not participating based upon availability and based upon those who were certified. And therefore, we did the sheltered market. We didn't have to do a disparity study. So I just want people to be familiar with when you're talking to people, don't always buy what they say. Make sure that you're
Mhm. Do your own
thoroughly knowledgeable
research.
about the issue. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, we have a caller. Hey, Cliff, how you doing? I think I picked them up. No, I didn't.
Hey,
What I
Cliff.
do? I messed it up again. Push it again.
Uh oh. Hold on, Cliff.
Did I get them?
Hold on, Cliff.
You with a plan. Thank you for
Cliff,
taking my
Go
call.
ahead.
I hear the
Cliff.
bell.
Yeah,
Go
start.
ahead.
I was gonna say start over because
Okay, that's okay. I got the same message, so I can stop anywhere. I can start anywhere I left off.
all
But the point
right.
I'm making is that this sounds great. As a matter of fact, the prior program, the previous program, you had clergy and a representative of the black church. Now, just recently, I believe from the 25th up to December 2nd, there was a call for a blackout. Are you brothers and sisters familiar with that?
Yes.
Yes.
So now, my question is, should the black churches have promoted that? And what I'm saying is that we need this message of being pro-black coming from every sector. So you got to call it time you talk about Kwanzaa and what you people are talking about, what we're talking about right now is all in sync in terms of elevating and promoting our black community to be self-sufficient and striving. And it's what we need. So we need all sectors, our sororities, our masons, be on the same page in terms of taking our black dollars and supporting black businesses. Does that make a little bit of sense? Am I off with that?
No,
Not
we
at
led
all.
with that. We started the
You
show
know,
with that.
exactly.
And we
So
start
every
yeah.
program, so Logano, every program needs to be saying the same thing, and it needs to be carried out even when we leave WVON. So this Sunday, our black preachers in every black church preach the same message so that we can save our money and spend our dollars with black businesses. That's all I'm asking for. It's not asking for too much coming from a brother from Connecticut.
And,
Wow.
Right.
I
That's
don't
not
think you're asking too
ask,
much.
but it's based on the discretion of the actual show. You know what I'm saying? So if there are other topics that we have so many topics to cover, Mr.
Okay,
Cliff. Well, let
Ladonna,
me finish
I'll
what I
end by
was
saying
saying.
this.
Let me finish what I was
Okay,
saying. We have so much to cover when it comes to the black community. We can't cover it all. And some things are going to be missed. I'm so glad that you brought up that this blackout is happening. Yes, it's been going around on social media. Yes, people are aware of it, which is why yesterday our Black Friday meant something different. Going out and supporting black businesses, which is what I intentionally do anyway. But I certainly made a post about it on social media so that I can leverage whatever eyes that I'm getting so that people can see that we're actually doing this and going to the register and swiping those cards.
Hmm.
We don't need to just show up and say, yeah, I was out here at Arlicia's. No, we need to actually swipe the card so that they can make the money and that money can go back into the business and then go back into the community. Thank you so much, Cliff.
Thank you, Cliff.
and that's
And let me say this real quick. You know what Cliff was just saying. We can't have a few people doing a lot. We need a whole lot of people doing a little. See, and
Yeah.
this is what coach we start to do culturally. We start to
Mm-hmm.
put the weight of a whole lot of things that as a culture that we're trying to correct and deal with on a few organizations. We need a whole lot of people doing a little. And just shopping at and supporting black businesses, that's a whole lot of people doing a little, and that's what we need.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna
Yeah.
take the next caller. Larry, did you want to add something before I do that?
Yeah, I just want to say that, getting the word out, that's why, it's so important to support even black media, because black media sometimes has a hard time, keeping their doors open.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people go to black media and they want them to put ads in the paper, and do things for free. But we have to understand that if they don't make enough money to to operate and to grow, then the conversation we have doesn't even happen. So, I just want to put a plug in the fact that, there's so many things to juggle, but it's important to understand the value of black media also, because that's another means of conversation. And yeah, preachers, everybody should get on board. When we're successful, the movement of integration, or riding on the buses, it was a shared vision where everybody got involved, and that's why they were effective.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I like how you mentioned that. We have
Hmm.
another caller waiting, but we handle things so much so differently when we look like each other. If it were a white radio station, we would ask to speak to sales. When it's a black radio station, we ask for the hookup or for the interview. And I've seen it time and time again because I've worked for both. And we have to change the expectation. Someone said it best. I saw it on social media, and she said, for me to come out and cover your event, I have to pay my cameraman. I have to pay to get there, pay for parking, and still make it a great interview or coverage moment. And if I'm doing it for free all the time, where are the dollars coming from? And she said it so eloquently. And I don't think we understand that. We feel like if you're already in business, that it's already realized, and that's not my responsibility to pay for that. I just want you to come out and you should be glad that I'm inviting you. It doesn't work that way. So I
Now,
want
I'll say
to,
this before you take the other call, then we get
yeah.
right into the next caller. I've even had people from the chamber who would go out and say to people that the chamber is just interested in getting money for membership. Now,
Well,
they don't mind calling and saying, well, to the chamber, I need help, I need access, I need this. But it was ironic that some people were offended that we asked people to be members at the same time. And it goes right back to the same thing, LaDonna.
mhm.
Sometimes I think somehow we must forget that in order for a chamber to operate, to be able to travel, to advocate on their behalf, and to do all the things that we do requires computers, desks, overhead, everything like anything else. And if you got more money going out than you got coming in, then you won't be around long enough to help anyone. So we
Mhm.
have to really begin and that's why money has to stay in our communities a lot longer than it has in the past. And we have to be more supportive of each other
Hmm.
as best we can to continue to make sure that those businesses are not just surviving, they're thriving, and they're able to
Absolutely.
do other things on top of it.
That's right,
Hmm.
that's right. I'm gonna grab this caller. I don't have a name. Hello, caller, what's your name?
Evangel Mama D, y'all knew me,
Hey,
yes.
Mama
Mama
D.
D.
I met Mama D not met, I've met her before, but last Saturday you came to the senior breakfast. What you got for us? It was so good to see you.
Well, thank you. Well, doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result is not going to happen. So, as a heart and mind damage survivor, it's important to study history from the ones that experienced it instead of reading about it in college or on the internet. And
Mm,
how did the sharecroppers do more with less
Hmm.
than we do with more? So I want to know, why is it that other races don't have to promote buying from each other? Why are we the only race that has to do that?
that's a very good question. Thank you, Mama D.
Well, here's what I would say, LaDonna, is that they've always understood how to divide and conquer. Even when they went to Africa, it was about dividing and conquering. Um, and when you take a look at even today, uh, even in the civil rights movement, there was a degree of always trying to put someone else against someone else. The slave, the house Negro from the field Negro. It's what we do. It's what they've done to divide us against ourselves. So I think it's a common practice from a strategy point of view to keep us divided among ourselves. And I think was her question. Let's make sure I heard Mama D's question correct, Madonna. What was her the point she was making?
She said, "Why is it that we have to convince people to support our business and no one else has to convince people to support their business?" I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah,
that was
Yeah,
her
that was it.
question.
yeah. And I like I said, I think this is by design. Quite frankly, is that in order to justify and control us, it was always about how they divided us. From tribes to another tribe, from anything they could do to keep us at sometimes fighting among ourselves. And so we have from a historical basis, they have used that technique, I think, to some degree, that has been perpetrated even among ourselves sometimes, and we've been sometimes unaware of how easy it is because I watch my people all the time where it's so easy when we fall out, you know, we never speak again, even when it comes to making money. So there's some things I think that we have to understand that they use as a means of control.
I
I,
want to oh, I'm
okay,
sorry, Lorenzo. Because you're
go
our
ahead.
guest, I want to go ahead and give you the floor and I'll come back.
Okay, I'm gonna say this to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, Larry. One thing that I've noticed is we put value on and celebrate our struggle. Everything goes back to what we struggled at and how we have this ability to fight through or function through struggle. So my question to those who are listening or who may catch this broadcast is, do you consider yourself a person of value? Because one thing that we notice about us culturally is we pay for things that we find valuable or that's going to make us look valuable in the eyes of other people. See, we pay for things that we find valuable, find value in. So if we don't find value in who we are, we're not going to pay for the success or the products or the creation that we have, like in business. And we don't find it. This is, and I hate to even say this, based on what I see on a daily basis and listening to, the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce come on here and try to, and like Mama D was saying, trying to have conversations on getting us to buy from or purchase from or to celebrate us and our successes. We don't find value based on our actions. We don't find value in who we are. We throw up the black power fists and, we give the black brother daps and stuff when we out in public and
Do
people
we?
are looking at us.
Because we're starting
And
and we're
then
stopping. We're not even doing that
we
anymore.
don't, yeah, absolutely. We don't show value
Hmm.
in who we are based on our actions.
Well, I'm gonna just piggyback off of what you guys are saying. I know it's about 9:39. We got three callers in the queue, and I'm coming to you guys. But there was the Ad Council put out a documentary, and I don't even think they were the ones that put it out. But there's a documentary called "Selling to the Negro." It was put out in 19 as of 1954. Selling to the Negro meant that the marketing strategies would change specifically to target the Negro. And it specifically, I watched it several times. You can look it up on YouTube. It's called Selling to the Negro 1954. And they said in the documentary that marketing strategies that target the Negro is because the Negro wants to prove that they can afford what you're selling. Therefore, sell it to them. They were losing money by not advertising to the Negro. And sure enough, they will show you examples of a black man walking into a store,
Mm.
buying an expensive hat, and just being able to buy it is why he purchased it. And there's so many other countless, should I say, examples in that same documentary. The other thing is, I come from a marketing background, and I look at how the United States markets itself with lies and garbage. It tells every other country, including the people in the country, that it is the land of the free and the home of the brave. And so people, they continue to say that, which makes that which is called branding. Branding is what other people say about you, not what you say. And because branding is taking it to the level of being the best, the richest, the land of opportunity, everyone feels like that is the case. When you look at the Constitution, anything that starts with we the people, when I say we, I'm talking about whoever it is in the room. We weren't in that room. So when they say we the people, they weren't talking about us. So yeah, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, you know the preamble. It's not talking about us. But because they're the ones who wrote the laws and put the system together, that system is working perfectly. You know why? Because it wasn't supposed to include us. So it's working as it was designed. And we believe that because they wrote it, they must know what they're talking about, and we put our value into them instead of our own.
Yeah. But, I think we can get way into the rabbit hole on that conversation in and of itself, quite
Mm.
frankly. And I,
Yeah.
I was I started to jump in the rabbit hole with you, but I do want us to understand there's a lot of great things about our people that is exceptional in terms of, everybody wants to be like us. The
Mm.
value that we bring to the table, the invention, the creativity, We are a gifted people beyond imagination. I think what we have to understand that people did a very good job of shaping a narrative that was not real history, not
Mhm.
real conversation, the war, it wasn't until
The
recently you
founding
had the red
fathers.
bill, all these incredible inventions and things we did, they left it out because it was really designed to keep us not feeling as if we were equal or anything. That's why I didn't want us to read. So there's a lot of things, but we can't dwell on that. What I don't want to do is have a pity party. What I really want us to do is say, look, how do we keep moving our business agenda forward? How do we create wealth? How do we look at doing business overseas and expanding our marketplaces? How do we grow wealth? How do we make legacy wealth at the same? Those are the things that's important to me. So, Ladonna, let's take those calls.
All right, let's go. Hey, James, thanks for waiting. You're on the wake up show.
Well, thank you for being there, my beautiful African queen and king.
Of course.
Yes,
What you got
yes.
for
First of
us?
all, first of all, no one wants to be like us. They want to imitate us. That's a big difference. Nobody wants to be an N-word.
Right.
Now, one of you all mentioned black media. We couldn't keep a Negro station on this big south side of Chicago. We had another one on about 103rd and Halster. Both of them gone. Couldn't stay in our community with all the Negroes we have and Negroes with money. We had Oprah here. We had all the black bulls, entertainers. Michael Jackson could have owned Gary, Indiana. We got to come to grips with this. What is Michael Jackson had said? And I'm only going to give concerts in Gary. People would have came from all across the world. He would have had hotel, hospital. He got to run to L.A. Oprah got to run to L.A. Barry Gordy could have owned Detroit. What did he do? He runs to L.A. We are confused. We are misled. And I don't know how we're going to be able to change this because the people we got with resources and money, they're not supporting us. They're not supporting us, man. We got to come to grips with that.
Thank
They're
you,
not
James.
doing it.
Thank you, James.
Thank
Thank you, James.
That was
Thank
strong.
you,
That was
thank you.
strong. I'm gonna
That
take the
was.
next caller. We got the tax doctor on the line. How you doing? What you got for us?
Good morning. I think what we have to understand is Malcolm X said it perfectly clear. We're the only somebody that'll let any other race come into our community, open up a business, and we go flock into them. They don't put nothing back into our businesses or our communities. They don't even spend money with us. That is insane that we continue to operate like we don't know nothing.
I sent you a text.
That's
When
right.
you think about Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street should have been the primary example of how we used to own all kind of businesses. Why can't we reinvent Black Wall Street?
We can. We
You
absolutely
know,
can.
let me say this real quick to that caller just called in, and I had this conversation with LaDonna, and this is coming from somebody who just moved to Chicago, like 2.5 years ago. As an outsider, we've always looked up to Chicago because we've read about Chicago and the history books. And for those of you who don't know, I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, and moved to Kansas City in '94. And you know, Chicago has always been a historical staple, to people who don't live in Chicago. When I moved here, I was amazed at how many black businesses were right next to each other, right across from each other, walking distance. I personally had never seen anything like that. And then when I started attending some of the events with the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, I hear people talking about why don't we have a Black Wall Street? But in my eyes, Chicago is a Black Wall Street.
Mm.
It literally is a Black Wall Street compared to other cities. Like from what I don't think I guess you wouldn't understand it unless you knew what it felt like to have to drive halfway across town to support a black
Well,
business.
we still have to do that here. Like we're
I,
far few and
what?
in between. There are a lot of black businesses here, but yesterday it wasn't like I was on one community of black businesses. I had to drive all the way to Roosevelt, all the way back to Cottage Grove, over to Ashland, down 95th.
Uh
I
huh.
mean, it's not,
I
yeah.
well, okay.
I mean, it can be
It.
better. It can be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And the gentleman, and I hear what you're saying, but
Mm-hmm.
the gentleman that called in, and Tracy, we see you holding. The gentleman that called in and said, the money that needs to go into the radio stations
Yes.
and things like that. If you don't understand what sustains a black business, then you won't be able to support it. It's like asking for a heart and somebody's giving you a lung. The things that sustain a media company or a radio or television station is advertising.
Mhm.
And how many businesses out there are not advertising with a black radio station or a black television station? And that becomes part of the problem as well. Larry?
Well, I think that we haven't leveraged each other well enough in terms of, it's like black media. If you use it right, it can be very effective. And I think there's some work to be done in terms of how to strengthen black media, how the black media strengthen black business at the same time. And we got to work harder at that. And we got to get more black businesses to invest in black media because they understand the value of why it's important. Because I'll give you a quick example. When I had one construction company who was not treating one of our members very well, and I had to write a pretty direct letter, and the letter really pretty much said, "Look, you got several days by which to pay this African American contractor," because I knew they were dragging out the games that were being played. But I needed to make sure they understood the seriousness, and the ultimate goal and objective was to get my guy paid. And so I told him, I said, "Well, if it's not paid, you will be the topic of conversation on the Wake Up Show Chicago. Then I'm going to reach out to my other partners and I'm going to tell them about how you treat African American black business owners in construction because they had a history of doing some things that I knew based upon my background and experience in construction, which is pretty extensive. I knew the games that they were playing, intentional. And so when they understood that I was going to be talking to black media, black radio, TV, and newspaper, they understood that they needed to make sure that they made that payment before I got on the radio station. And so that's how when we come together and when we got someone who's not doing right by us in business, we have to make sure that you know government moves by the people. If you're going to move government, you got to understand policy, but you also got to have a voice that reaches your representatives, your legislators. And when they hear their constituents saying this is a problem or this is a policy rule that we need to change, they'll change it. But if there's no voice, if there's no outreach, if there's no connectivity, then the changes are unlikely to happen at the same time.
I want to answer Mama D's question. She asked, why are we the only community that has to convince our own to support our businesses? Um, Number one, bad branding. We are so quick to run and tell it. Let there be a half a glass of water and not a full one. We're going to tell everybody, don't shop there, don't go there. We are quick to spread bad news. That is bad branding. Number two, that infiltrates the revenue stream, which disallows that business to advertise and market. We are a marketing group. If you show it to us and it's wrapped in a bow, we will go and support it. But when black businesses don't have those advertising dollars, they're not able to present it to you so that they can show it to you in a bow. You have to then they have to rely on word of mouth. We don't have that strategy because we have lack of revenue and because of the bad branding, the money doesn't come in so that we can expand. And that
Right?
has to change.
Lack of revenue, lack of human capital,
Yep. Lack of absolutely attitudes. So you got to hire whoever you can.
Yeah.
Okay, no training.
You want to grab Tracy?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna grab Tracy. You're right. Let me do that. Hi Tracy. Good morning. What you got for us?
Good morning. This is Tracy, and I'm a person in business here in Northeast California. And I wanted to answer Mama D's question also. Essentially, I think that we think that their ice water is colder.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in business. I'm a certified massage specialist, and what happens is my own people will come into my business and just look for something that I'm doing wrong. To be honest with you, they want to give me, different things instead of just laying down and letting me give them a great massage. I have to say that most of my customers, and I've been in business since 2017, are non people that look like me. My own people will not. They will go to Tran, and Tran will just mess their back up, but they think Tran has did a great job because
Now,
they think
what is
that
Tran? Is that a massage therapy franchise out there?
no, no, I'm just saying Tran is an Asian name. It's
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, Chan. Okay, gotcha.
yeah, Tran, like
Okay,
TRAN
gotcha.
or something like that.
Okay.
But Miss LaDonna, I just want to also say that I listen to you guys every Saturday, but I don't call in. But this subject is very near and dear to my heart because I've been in business for so long. And I notice that my own people will not step foot. But when they do, it's so funny. I have a certain amount of people, market of people that I have. And most of the people that I have are older women. And I have, and then the people that look like me are educators. For some reason, I have like 4 educators that come in once a month. But I like what you said too, that bad branding. And so what I feel like I have to do is that I have to work like double, triple hard just to make sure that I'm, like just overdo it, like an overdoer, to make sure that, I'm doing good. So I haven't had any bad branding, probably because I worked so hard to, to have a good name, that when they do get on my table, that I'm honest, I have good integrity. That's what the word is out about me. But
Well, I'm gonna interrupt you just for a second because we only have a few more minutes left. It's sad when you have to be uncomfortable when your people walk in the door. I mean,
no, I'm not uncomfortable.
I'm not saying
glad they're
no,
here.
I'm not saying that you are. I'm saying that when they look for something wrong, that makes me
hmm
it's like what about all the things that I'm doing right? It's really sad.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we
The
should
other thing,
uplift. Yeah.
the other thing that I'm doing is
Yeah, real
that
quick.
all these years I've been trying to just hone in on my craft, and I have not did the advertising that you're talking about. But what I'm trying to do now is just to learn how to be a good business person. So that's what I'm into now. All the time I've been honing in on my craft, but now I'm just trying to learn how to be a good business. I would like to talk to you, Miss LaDonna. How could I get in hold to you
Send me
and
an
just talk to you
email.
about a couple?
Send me an email.
Okay, what is your email?
I'm giving it to you. LaDonna, LADONNA
NNA. Okay.
at WVON.com.
Okay, great. I'll get off the phone and thank you for listening to me.
Of course. Thank
Hey,
you.
LaDonna,
Yes,
before, because
sir.
I know we're running out of time, but I'm going to be
Yes.
quick. One of the things that we all have what we call our battle scars, and I do always want to make sure that we don't stray on the point of all the things that we do wrong without talking about all the great things we do right.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that really my battle scar was that when I was in investment banking with Merrill Lynch, and then I transferred to Solomon Smith Barney as vice president under Citigroup. My own church members were working at a major company, retiring, and it came to the office. And these were people who I went to church every Sunday with, who my father was a pastor. I supported their kids in college, and they took their money and they went past me to get to a white guy. And the white guy, who I happen to know, a guy named Barry, I won't mention his last name, but he said, Larry, don't you know, aren't these people that know you? Why are they coming to me when you're better than me at this. And he brought me into the meeting, quite frankly, because he
He
was
was perplexed.
shocked at it. He said,
Yeah.
like, Larry, they go to your church and and you're there. And I think it might have been a little bit of they didn't want people to know their finances, but he brought me into the meeting and he pointed out to them that Larry Ivory is really good at this. And I made a couple of recommendations. He said, see, I would have never made those recommendations like Larry made. And he was puzzled at the fact that people who loved and cared about me would still come to him, a white guy,
Hmm.
because they thought that he was smarter. And the fact of the matter not. So we have a lot of things to unpack. But the beautiful thing is that there's great examples of us supporting black businesses. There's great examples of us coming together on lobby day. We come together to promote what we do. We fight on the issues that are important. We support our members, whether it be through Rolling Out magazine. We're always looking out to how do we strengthen black businesses. And I love black people. I love their ingenuity, their creativity. I love working with LaDonna, with Lorenzo, with all the wonderful people that we get a chance. I love fighting for, yeah, the Dr. Sterlings, working with the Robert Johnsons, a great attorney. We have such a beautiful environment for us to succeed. We have to continue to lift each other up, stay focused, make sure that we understand the rules of engagement, because there are a lot of things and strategies that they use to keep us at bay. We got to understand the rules better and be able to counteract their comments, because there are some things they do, like I could talk about forever, in terms of even disparity studies, in terms of
Well,
the whole
we only got a
issue.
minute because we need
Yeah,
another show. This is we need to do like the podcast or something. Uh,
there, there's so many tricks of the trade, guys, that they use against us to neutralize us. When they say an aspirational goal, they lead people to think that, well, we really don't have to do it because it's an aspirational goal. But that's not what it means in procurement. That
mhm.
means that you got to make a good faith effort. There's 5 points of that. And that doesn't mean that you get a chance to blow off the goal. You can ask for a waiver. So there's a lot to unpack, Donna. So I'm going to pass it back to you because I know we're running out of time.
We have run out of time, unfortunately. But you know what? I want to make it plain. I want to thank our special guest host, Lorenzo T. Hughes, actor and writer. And Larry, I want to thank you for allowing us to have this platform to extend our conversations on Black business and how to navigate through those muddy waters. No matter what, we're going to come out on top, guys. And I want to thank all the people that listen, because people actually listen to this station and they do listen to this show. So thank you, everyone, for that. Guys, we're going to be here next Saturday. That's going to be 9 a.m. to 10. It's the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. Don't forget to become a member. You would go to ilbcc.org, or you can email info@ilbcc.org for more information. And you might get to you can also give your concerns about business as well. We need you all to understand the benefits of membership. Yes, membership has a price tag, but if you don't invest in you, who will? That's all I got. I'm just saying, like, yeah, who will? But it definitely has its benefits. Also, make sure you go to our Facebook, Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. Make sure you go to the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. There are other similar names out there. You have to make sure it's Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. Always look for Larry Ivory, and that is us. If he is not in the mix, that is not us. All right. We got Lobby Day coming up in April. We're going to be prepared to do that. Make sure you reach out to us so you can take part in Lobby Day. It's coming up fast. That's April. It's right around the corner, guys. That's it for now. I'm LaDonna Ray signing off. I'll see you guys on Monday on the afternoon show with Atiba Buchanan. Bye-bye for now.
Get ready to wake up to the pulse of progress as we amplify voices, break barriers, and illuminate the path. Get ready to wake up to the pulse of progress as we amplify voices, break barriers, and illuminate the path towards a more inclusive tomorrow. Follow us across the socials at The Wake Up Show Chicago. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. It's The Wake Up Show every Saturday morning at 9, where Remember, change begins with every sunrise.
Welcome to the Wake Up Show, Chicago.
That's the end?
The talk of Chicago is 1690 WVON, Sherwin, Chicago.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock